wrote like 13 songs in like 4 days or something like that. And came back home, fished him around a little bit. Because the way it works, once Ice puts a title out there, it's time to go to work. Because he'll be doing press, we'll be in Europe or something like that, and he'll mention a name of an album that's coming out. And we're like, what?
Hi, this is Tom from Ghost Cult, and it is an honor to be joined by Vince Price of the legendary Body Count. And they're just about to release their 8th album, I believe, Merciless. I think, Vince, this is your 5th album with the band. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
So, 22nd of November, Century Media. It is a hard-hitting album. I feel like the band is just getting heavier with age. And I feel like I can remember when I was about 14 years old in school, and one of my friends coming to school, and he had the probably a cassette of the first Body Count album, and he was going around like, tell us what to do. Fuck you. The tension mounts. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then ultimately, I ended up being one of those kids that Ice-T was rapping about in Home Invasion. We stole your fucking kids, and here I am, 30 years later, one of those stolen kids.
Nice.
So very cool to get to talk to you. And so actually, I saw you guys on your latest UK tour, and you were great. But before I tell you where I saw you, where was the best crowd in your UK tour?
Every time I do interviews or press or whatever, and I'm asked that same question, but every show's different. Crowd's different, the set's different, the band plays different, everything is different. So I would say all of my shows are my best shows.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
Because it's all different. You wake up and then you play a show, and it's great. I mean, just playing shows is great in general. Rather than I'm the type of person, if the crowd's lame, I can get into it anyways, because I'm up there doing something that a lot of people don't get to do.
Yeah. Well, on that topic, after you released your last album, Carnivore, that was kind of when the world all shut down, right? We didn't know what was going to happen. We all slipped into this void. What was that like for you personally? And what was that like for the band as well?
That was weird because we had a whole tour set up and ready to go. Some cool shows, some cool places and everything. We were looking forward to doing those. And when that happened, it was like, whoa, what do we do now? That was weird.
And what about your regular job? Because you're a guitar tech, right? So did that completely take away all of your work?
Yeah, but there was some stuff I did. I did guitar repairs for people that, wanted their guitars repaired and stuff like that, and there was some stuff that people were doing underground as well. So it all worked out. It gave me a chance to be home a little bit more, to do more writing, which I did because, when that happened, that's when I started writing stuff for Merciless.
So on that topic of the writing of the album, how do you kind of work with Ice-T? Because I sort of got the impression from the press release, it's like you and Ernie C would sort of write riffs together and then you take them to Ice-T. And then I feel weird as this 43-year-old white guy saying ice, but that's why I keep saying Ice-T. But do you do you write the music first and then he figures out stuff to put on the top of it, or what's kind of like the process like?
Yeah, that's what happens. Basically, the way this record was written this time around was basically when everything happened with the world, a lot of other stuff happened with us. It's like Will Dorsey had a stroke, and we didn't going to do what state the band was going to be in, so to speak. So, but the label at the same time was like, hey, we need music and everything. So I said, hey, called up Will Putney and says, hey, I'm coming out there. I need to do something, and he was in the same boat too, no bands, but then bands start coming around like, hey, we want to record because it's COVID, blah, blah, blah. We're shut down. So I would go out there and we'd start writing a handful of songs. Wrote like 13 songs in like 4 days or something like that. And came back home, fished him around a little bit. Because the way it works, once Ice puts a title out there, it's time to go to work. Because he'll be doing press, we'll be in Europe or something like that, and he'll mention a name of an album that's coming out. And we're like, what?
I guess it's happening now.
When he mentions a name, he has an album title, it's time to go to work. Basically, once all that stuff was going on, I went to Will Putney's, wrote a bunch of stuff with Will and got together with Ernie as well. And what we did is basically we put the music together. And then once the music's together, Ice basically takes it, dissects it, and says, okay, I don't like that song. I want to take that part from that song and put it here, so on and so forth. And that's how the music's pretty much written.
And I feel like, you know, thinking about the sound of the band and how you've been progressing recently, you seem to have managed to evolve really successfully to sort of take sort of like aggressive, heavy elements, but still melodic and still kind of keep sounding modern, but keep having that impact as well. So like, how do you feel you've managed to keep evolving? You know, you've sort of been on this really great run since, I guess basically since Manslaughter, you've sort of been having this momentum. So, you know, how do you feel like you've kind of picked that all up?
Well, it has a lot to do with Will Putney as well. You know, like me and him, we get to, and I write every day too. So it's like, there's nothing around that. I'm writing constantly for either me or another band or Body Count. You know, I write so much stuff, you know, and I'm always I stay fresh on that, you know. Even if we're on tour, I'm always picking up like Juan's guitar or something like that, riffing out. I mean, those guys know that's all I do is write music. And so it's just, basically, you got to practice. You don't like, you know, they say, you know, just because we won a Grammy, it's like, that's no big deal. You still got to keep pushing to get to where you're going. You got to push everything you do. You can't just stop, you know. So I don't stop writing music and I don't stop listening to music. So that's how this whole thing just stays fresh, because we just keep. Merciless is done. I'm still writing music. I mean, we even have leftover material from Merciless that we haven't even used yet.
And talking about freshness and sort of trying different things, one of the things that also surprised me, but I thought went really well in the latest record, is some of the more melodic parts. Like, you know, the chorus for Live Forever was quite unexpected for me. And then obviously you've got the cover of Comfortably Numb as well, which also fits in really well. So where's that kind of variety in the band coming from? Is that from everyone that sort of you've got these different elements?
It just happens. You know, sometimes we take chances. Sometimes I don't even know if I so like these things, you know, like some of the songs that get cut, he actually likes. And it's like what he does, it's how he's feeling. He can do, if he can write and do his thing on it, then he'll do it. But other than that, it's like, me personally, I have this thing that's called Songs That Will Never Be Heard. It's basically what I mean by that is I write so much that nobody else is hearing it but myself until that time comes. So like if we're stuck on a riff or something like that, I'm like, hey, I got this one riff or 1,000 riffs or whatever. Hey, want to try to put this here, you know? Because sometimes we run out of stuff. So it's like I'm always got stuff in my back pocket I can just throw in.
And I saw in another interview that you compared Manslaughter to Beneath the Remains by Sepultura. And so then you said, you know, Bloodlust is like your Arise, Carnivore is like KSAD. So does that mean that Merciless is your roots?
No, definitely not. I want to say definitely not. I would say, wow, you got me there.
You can think about it for the next interview.
I'm going to say this is our Metallica's Black album.
That's cool. Metallica's Black album's a good reference point. Another thing that I really liked that took me by surprise is the last track on the album is you've got Mic Contract, like basically a body count version from the OG original Gangster album, which I thought was really cool. And obviously you've got your version of 99 Problems that you did on Carnivore. And I was just kind of wondering, like, I could imagine that track came about. It's like you're playing some riffs and then Ice-T just spontaneously starts doing some lines over the top. Was it like that? Like, do you just like play stuff and suddenly he's like, you know, busting out some rhymes from 20 years ago?
No, there was a point in time when the band, before the lineup we had now, and I overheard Ice telling one of the guitar players that was in the band, not D-Rock, saying how he wanted that person to take all his rap songs and make them into metal songs. Mm-hmm. Ice always has a vision on doing things. I mean, he told that person to do that, and that person never did it. And I always kept that in the back of my mind on, hey, that'd be something we should do. So every time we do a record, he always says, hey, I want to take this song and do it to a metal song. I like the lyrics. I want to do this. I think it's fitting. So, I mean, we've did Colors. Mm-hmm. We've done 6 in the morning. I'm waiting to do Tower.
That would be cool. I was actually thinking another cool one would be Flyby. I think that would work quite well.
Yeah, check that one out.
And I also...
Who's that on?
I think that's on OG as well.
Oh, it's on OG. Flyby.
It's quite fast, quite a fast flow.
Yeah, I know what song you're talking about.
There was a couple of others as well. I was thinking like off Home Invasion. I thought It's On, and actually the title track as well would be cool, but they do have quite a lot of like very specific references to that time. So you'd probably have to, Ice would have to update them, but I kind of thought that would be cool too. And something like more general about Ice-T that's really impressed me that I was kind of curious to get your take on. So, obviously that over the years, there are all kinds of different conflicts between different rappers and different groups. And I've always felt like Ice-T has managed to stay respected by everyone, it kind of seems, on the outside. And he had that, the documentary that he did, Something from Nothing, The Art of Rap. And I remember thinking, like, it's really amazing that he manages to get all these different people in the documentary. What do you kind of put that down to? How has he managed to stay so seemingly universally respected in the rap world?
Well, because he's OG. There's no other way to put it. He's just OG, He's original. And yeah, he doesn't get caught up in all that stuff either, I mean, he's just OG. Just like in the metal world. He's OG in the metal world. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to take pictures with him. He's respected everywhere pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's something, I think it's pretty impressive, like not to be taken lightly.
Yeah, definitely.
And like kind of on that topic, so one of the particular tracks on the album, when we think about that, was Fuck What You Heard, with the lines about Democrats and blood publicans. And I thought that was pretty cool, like kind of taking a critical eye to everything. And, maybe that's kind of, connected to this idea, rather than picking sides, of just basically going, I'm going to comment on everything that's fucked up, regardless of where it is.
Oh, yeah. That concept was really cool, how he came up with that one. Because it's true. All that stuff that he's talking about in it. And it is like a gang,
Yeah, but you know what? It made me laugh as well, because I was thinking about it, and I was thinking it reminds me of that line. I think it's on Home Invasion, where he's like, every fucking thing I write is going to be analyzed by somebody white. And I'm like, here I am, a 43-year-old white guy analyzing Ice-T's lyrics.
Yeah.
He understood.
Yeah. He knows he's like a fortune teller. I gotta say, he's like a fortune teller. He's always got thinking way ahead. I don't know how he does it, but he's always a fortune teller. He's always thinking one step ahead.
Yeah, look, I don't want to sound like a total fanboy here, but I think Ice-T's a pretty inspirational guy. I'm a longtime fan.
Yeah, so am I.
So tell me, just to get a little bit in more about your own background. So like you joined the band in 2001, is that right?
Something like that, yeah.
So I feel like, at this time, the band was maybe going through a bit of a kind of like a slide in terms of popularity and maybe inspiration. Like, I guess the third album, Violent Demise, wasn't really that well received. So what was that like for you at that time, joining the band and, those first years that you were in the band?
Well, gosh, when I first joined the band, I didn't even like any of that music, really, tell you the truth, because I was more into hardcore, heavy metal. Punk rock, like really hardcore, like Discharge, Iron Maiden are like my influences and my favorite bands. Mm-hmm. I play in heavy metal bands as well. Still Prophet. I've been playing that band for over 35 years now. When I first heard that, I was like, what the hell is that? Because I'm more of a music, I would say, critic than anything, of sound quality, writing, and everything else. So to me, I didn't really like the band until I saw them live. And then later on in life, I started working at a rehearsal studio where they rehearsed, and I would see them come and go with their fancy cars and everything. I remember at one point where they were auditioning drummers, and because I basically, when you work at a rehearsal studio, you have to open up their door, let them in, set up their PA and everything. So I saw them during all those periods. So they got auditioning drummers, got a new drummer, then they need a bass player, and that's when Violent Demise came around. And during that Violent Demise, they did a whole US tour, European tour, and everything. And they came back home and took a little break. Then Ernie approached me about doing a solo project. At first, he wanted to sign my band. He says, hey, me and Duff, we're going to have a record label. We want to sign your band. And then weeks later, he says, hey, or a month later, I think he says, hey, I want you to join my band. I'm doing a solo project. So in the midst of doing his solo project, somebody came in because, he's Ernie C. So people want to come see the band, see what he's doing. So a person goes, man, that guy'd be a perfect fit for Body Count. And I didn't think nothing of it, And then later, I forget what year this was. I forget what year, 96? I think it was around 90. I don't know. I forget. Anyways, and they were going to bring the original band back together with Moose Man back on. And then Moose Man got shot in a drive-by. And then I came in I don't know when, maybe a year later or something. I have no idea. But they were getting the band back together, and then I joined. They didn't even have to audition. I just basically joined.
You kind of like got in by the back door because you're already in Ernie C's band. So had you actually met Ice-T at that point before?
Oh yeah, because like I said, I used to work at the rehearsal studio.
Oh right, okay. So you knew him through that way.
Yeah, I knew the band. I knew the hanger-oners, all the whole crew.
And talking about people you work with, from your time as a guitar tech, if I'm not wrong, you worked for Prince at one point. Is that right?
Oh gosh, Prince, Chris Cornell. Oh, I have a huge resume when it comes to working for people. Richie Sambora, you name it, I've worked for them all.
And I from time to time I like to collect Prince stories. So, what was that experience like? Did you have much direct contact with him?
That was great. It was great. I mean, if you want a Prince story, I can tell you two, and I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
One where he had this orange Fender Strat, and we were doing a show, I think in Georgia or something like that, Tabernacle. And he says, hey, Vince, why don't we take this maple neck and make the pickups and the pickguard match the maple neck? I'm like, what? I'm like contacting EMG, say, hey, man, I need some wood grain pickups. It was crazy, and that's what people remember me when EMG people are like, man, I remember when you called looking for wood grain pickups. We made that guitar happen, actually, not with wood grain pickups, but it's all wood grain. It matched the neck later on. I had Yasu at Performance Guitars do some magic. I took a piece of a drumstick and put it at the tremolo end. I took some knobs and yeah, it was crazy, but we actually made that guitar happen. It's in the Paisley Park Museum right now. And the second one was where we're doing a rehearsal. And he says, hey, I want some pyramid guitar cabinets. And I asked him, I said, what color? He goes, purple. So I got a Mesa Boogie. Boogie, because he was playing Mesa Boogies at the time, and I got a hold of them, and we were trying to make these pyramid cabinets happen. But then Third Power came out with them, so yeah, that's it. There's more. Leave it at that.
That's good. I'll definitely take that. That's very cool.
But there's one to take from and Chris Cornell is one thing those two guys did that really influenced me is the songwriting.
Yeah,
guys never stopped writing songs, and that's what inspired me the most about working for Prince as well, and as well as later as with Chris, because they're always writing music.
Yeah, Chris Cornell was amazing. I was a huge fan of his. Amazing singer. Man, yeah, amazing writer as well. And going back to Merciless, another thing that struck me, so like I was listening to the album, I was running, it's good running music. And I was running along and I was like, do you know what? There's part of this that reminds me of a band called Prong. And I'm like, yeah, they should collaborate with Tommy from Prong. And then I realized you were actually in Prong, right? Very, very briefly. So how did that come about?
Same thing. Prong used to rehearse at our rehearsal studio. And it was crazy because my band was going to be playing with Prong because it was when the problem was just coming out. They were just a rude awakening, I believe, or they were rehearsing at the place I worked at, which is owned by Martin Zonder from Fates Warning and Warlord. And now he's got a new band, A to Z. But anyways, Prong was rehearsing there. I used to go hang out with them, talk to Raven. Tommy would come and hang out. We'd talk. They invited me into the studio when they were doing Rude Awakening and everything. And then one day I was coming home from my other job to go to my other job, which Bill's Place wasn't my main job. Bill's Place was my second job. And Takumi and Pete Parada, they were outside playing basketball. And I was like, are you going to do it? I'm like, what are you talking about? Go talk to Tommy Victor. I'm like, Okay, so I went in to Tommy Victor, and Tommy goes, "Hey, Vince, you want to do it?" I'm like, "Do what?" He goes, "Join Prong." I'm like, "What?" I go, "Yeah, I'll join Prong." And so I did a show where my band opened up, and then Prong played. So I had played two shows, and I played like another show with Prong where Deftones were opening up. And I did my last show with them because they're about ready to go on tour with Ozzy. And that's where Blasco came in and stole my gig.
Snuck in
because he was always hanging out at rehearsals and everything, and like something's up. I guess he didn't get the gigs he wanted, so he decided to be in Prong. So basically, it was in between. I did the shows and everything, then they were rehearsing with Blasco or Rob Nichols, and he got the gig. So yeah, I had a short time in Prong, but that music is I always love that music. I also, on this record, before I approached Max to be on Lord's Chaos, I had approached Tommy, but Tommy said he was too busy and couldn't get around to it. It was only a vocal part, not guitar part, just a vocal part. Rest is history.
Disappointing. Vince, I know that you've got a tight schedule. You've got to go off pretty quick, but I just wanted to ask one other thing. I think a few years ago you had, an on-stage accident. You had to have some pretty significant surgery. How are you with all that and, with performing because of that?
I'm doing good. I can't jump like I used to, but I'm doing good. Yeah, I jumped 14 feet from stage and broke both of my ankles. Yeah. But I'm doing good. I've been playing a lot of live shows, still working. First, I didn't think I was going to be doing this stuff again, but here I am.
You can't kill the rock and roll spirit.
No.
And so now that the album's coming out in the next few weeks, what have you got lined up with the band? Are you going to be doing a lot of shows?
Well, we already just came off that tour, but that tour wasn't for the record. And to say the band's still alive. I have no idea. I know we're doing a TV appearance December 4th, and we have a show December 5th. Let's see, December 4th, Jimmy Fallon, and December 5th, a show with Cro-Mags and Murphy's Law in Jersey. And then next year, we'll see what happens.
Well, I will be keeping a lookout. Vince, It was great to talk to you. It was an honor. Thank you so much for your time. And hopefully I will see you guys again on stage pretty soon.
You got it. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
All right.